Hello. I think I'm live. I don't know. I can't see it anymore. It says it's waiting for me. I don't think I'm live. Am I live? That looks like I'm live. That doesn't look like I'm live. Yep, I'm live. There we go. Now I can see myself. The cat's here. How is everybody? Welcome to Psychic Cafe. Bit of a weird start this morning with the software and everything, but it's going now. So welcome everybody. Psychic Cafe. I'm going to go deeper into the daily read. Back to normal again. No more specials, although there will be a full moon special tomorrow, because tomorrow I think the full moon is at about 9:30, and so this is 8 a.m. for me. So I'll pretty much be doing this live when it's around the full moon time, or just an hour before it anyway. Hey Greg, how are you? You good? So the daily read today, 7th of April, is all about receiving. Receiving graciously. You know, when we're given a compliment, and sometimes people do this whole, oh, it was nothing, or yeah, but it's not perfect, or yeah, but it's not good enough. You know, they're always making up an excuse instead of receiving the compliment. Not a lot of people are very good at receiving compliments, and not a lot of people are very good at receiving anything at all. And so this just wasn't about receiving compliments or receiving from other people graciously. This was about receiving from the universe graciously too. And what I mean by that is, when you're given a gift by the universe, being grateful for it and actually receiving it and taking it to your heart. Not a lot of people are good at that either. And you can see it, you know, people get given something or receive something and it's never good enough, you know, it's not enough. And you might even be doing it in your mind, you know, you receive some money, but in your mind it's still not enough, it's not enough, it's never enough, it's never enough. That's not receiving graciously, and it actually blocks you off from abundance. That's why gratitude is so powerful. Because we've got to do it in the moment, otherwise we're closing the door. You know, it's like someone knocking on the door and coming around you and like, not today. You're not good enough. Imagine if you did that with people. A friend knocks on your door, and you're like, no, you're not enough. You're not funny enough, you're not tall enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not enough. Hey, Aphrodite. And so we've got to be careful of that. We've got to be careful of that not enough thing. Especially around money too. A lot of people have money problems because of that. You're doing a sneaky at work, Aphrodite. That's funny. How are you, Greg, today? And how are you, Aphrodite? Are you good? Who else is in here with me? So yeah, it's all about receiving today, the energies of receiving. And I've picked a card out of this deck. It's True Offering. True Offering. May I release the fears, illusions, and addictions that keep me from true offering. May I relax into your plan. Trust that the next steps will always be shown. Use me, love, use me for the highest. I am yours alone. So this ties it in, hey? Because it's only when we can receive that we can give properly. We can't give properly until we learn how to receive. Otherwise, we're kind of empty. And as much as we try not to, we put conditions on it when we're not open to receive, and we put conditions on it, on our giving. It's not free giving. And then when you're open to receiving, then you can freely give because you actually receive back from it. Until then, you heap a dollop of resentment onto it, even if you're like, you don't mean to. Aphrodite's doing pretty good. That's good, Aphrodite. 9 p.m. there in America. Oh. 9 p.m. Your clocks changed recently, didn't they? I can't keep up with all of the different time zones. Our clocks never change here. It's good. Stable. Oh, great news in Thailand yesterday. Our numbers went down. So we were getting about 100. At the peak of it, we were getting about 120 new COVID people being tested positive for COVID. Not many people are being tested, so, you know, There's probably a lot more than that, but it's just people that are sick and going to hospitals, or getting symptoms and going to the hospitals. They don't need to be that sick here. Anyway, at the peak of it, we were getting 120, and then it went down the last couple of days to like 105, around 105 each day. Yesterday, 51. So the measures that we're taking are working. It's awesome. Still 3 deaths. The highest deaths we've had in a day is 4. 3 deaths yesterday, so the deaths will go down within the 2 weeks after the number of people being tested positive go down. And the beautiful Thais look after their people. Yesterday they announced that COVID treatment in hospitals is free for everybody now. I'm not going to charge anyone for it. Of course, they don't want people to be freaking out and not want to go and get treatment, not want to go and get help if they can't afford it. And so many Thais wouldn't be able to afford it. So they're like, okay, it's free for everybody, which is awesome. They're good people, Thais. They look after at every level, grassroots level, every level. They look after people. It's awesome. I'm so impressed with what they're doing, the way that they're handling it. It's your thing, and it's just been like so important to me. It's like, because when you're an entrepreneur, right, when you've got your own business, the amount of money that comes in and the way that business works is just on your energy alone, right? And so you have to do all of this work, otherwise it just doesn't work. And you just can't keep on giving. Like, the universe is like, nope, you can't get back from that. So it was only when I figured the receiving thing out for myself that it worked, and now I get it, right? And it's interesting because I know even with this, like, you think by now that there'd be like hundreds of people coming to these, but I know that it can't happen, and it can't happen until my YouTube is monetized. And that's because once it's monetized, my channel's in review right now. So once it's monetized, that means that the donations thing will be up on this. So there'll be a little button at the bottom of the chat there, and you'll be able to donate. And it's only when that happens that my numbers can go up. I know, there's got to be reciprocity, right? I mean, this is great because a lot of you get the full readings from me, especially in the half price sales too. So that's awesome. That is reciprocity. Like, I don't have a problem with it. But I just know the way that the universe works is it's when that button goes on there that a lot of people will come in, because then I won't be able to do free readings for everybody, right? I'll have to just do it for the ones that do super chats and stuff. So yeah, I know, like, I get it now. I get the balance has to be there. There's got to be reciprocity there. And you see that too. It's like, even with you guys that get readings, you know. And that's why I did the coupon thing this time for the full moon reads, for 50% off those. A coupon code in the readings. Because unless you've got some skin in the game, and it doesn't have to be money, it can be attention, it can be watching the whole videos, it can be doing that inner work for yourself. It doesn't have to be money. But if you're not doing anything and you're just trying to receive from it, then that's not energetic reciprocity kind of thing. So it's really interesting the way it works, the whole receiving game. And it's obvious when you're an entrepreneur. Oh my God, especially when you're working alone as an entrepreneur. Hey Rose. How are you, Rose? I haven't seen your name in here before. Luna. Oh, that's funny. Your name's Rose Luna. Well, your YouTube name is that anyway. Because the full moon coupon code for a half price reading is Luna. And now you're here. I attracted you. Luna. It's also a beautiful name too. So yeah, we're all about receiving today. So let me go deeper into that, and then I'm going to give you guys readings. Hey Eva, how are you? Oh my God, I just had my reads for Cancer, and yes, I'm resonating with it all. I'll be booking for a read with you privately. Awesome. Look forward to that, Eva. So let's go deeper into the daily read about all of this receiving. We've got to learn to receive, like, graciously. It starts by receiving compliments graciously, receiving things from other people, letting people do things for you, just letting them do things for you, and being thankful for that, and it being okay with yourself. That's a start. Hey Ashley. And when you can do that, that's what happened for me. I just let my business tick over. Because what was happening for me when I was learning to receive, I'll tell you the story. So I was trying to make my business work, and I was doing so much. Like I'm doing a lot now, but it's working now, so it's not wearing me out because I'm receiving from it, right? But when I wasn't receiving, it was just wearing me out. And then I noticed whether I worked really hard at my business or whether I did nothing and just like went out drinking with my friends, like day drinking all the time, I'd get exactly the same amount of money. Now, wouldn't that piss you off? And it's like, well, what am I bothering working at this business for? Like, there's no point in doing the webinars, all the stuff, the videos that I was doing made absolutely no difference to what I was receiving. It was like I was stuck at this level of income. And I'm like, well, if I receive it and I don't do anything to get it, if I receive the same amount of money, then I'm going to be fully lazy. And so I just kind of embraced that and I let it go. I just let it go. I stopped focusing on it, thinking maybe I need to start another business. Maybe I should be doing something else, questioning myself like that. And then, and then that was when I'd kind of decided to quit drinking. I just started focusing on myself instead. Quit drinking. This was a couple of years ago now, 2.5 years ago, something. Spent a lot of time by myself. Wasn't working on my business. Wasn't filling my time up with that either. I'm doing a bit of it, but not much. And then I started training. And then it took me a while to open up to receive from them people. To them, from them. So open-hearted. And once I opened up to receiving from them, that's when I really got it. It's like I hadn't noticed how closed down I'd been before that. And of course, once I started receiving from them, I started being open to receive. Like it was just like a landslide then. I started receiving from many, many more people. It's like a little switch had turned inside me and suddenly my energy was open for receiving. And it happened through certain people that I could trust, healthy people. Once I'd got healthy, I was letting healthy people in, and then it took me a while to open up to receive from them, and then when I did, it all started happening. And then of course, after a while, so that was just in my private life, just here on the island. Then when I had an idea to actually get on with this psychic cafe, because I'd had this same idea 2 years before, but then I was in that, it's not going to work. Nothing ever works. I can make as much effort as I want doing this kind of thing, but it makes absolutely no difference. But it does make a difference now. I'm open to receive. So I know people wear themselves out trying to give before they're open to receive. And so there's you've got to heal yourself. And looking back, this is the process that I went through. Healing yourself enough so you can get to the point where you're even ready to trust people. Empowering yourself. And then focusing on, receiving from other people and trusting people enough to receive from them. And then it all started happening. And so these are the energies we've got today. Freedom and accept what is. So everyone's on the path to receiving, it's like we're on a spectrum, like it's autism. We're on a receiving and giving spectrum, all of us. And as I said, the universe just won't let you do it without balance. It just won't. That's what, this full moon tomorrow is about balance as well. So, freedom, accepting where we are. We've got freedom to give and receive, to find that balance or not. And where we are on that path is fine. That it's one problem that I have with the law of attraction teachings is a lot of people seem to say you can have anything anytime, you can manifest anything. And it's it's not true. There's a lot of steps to get there, a lot of inner steps to get there. And sometimes outer steps to get there too. I know in the full moon readings, when I talked about the law of attraction, in those, we're waiting for the world to change before we can manifest some things, right? Because we've got a society, we've got agreed rules, we've got agreed limitations. Can't break free of those. So So we have got freedom, but there are limitations. Limitations that society places on us, like certain universal limitations, like gravity, and also like biological, human being, the material world limitations, like viruses and stuff. And we've got society limitations as well, rules that we've agreed on. So we've only got a certain amount of freedom. We accept that, and then, we get more and more freedom. The more freedom that we have inside of ourselves, the more freedom we can claim, the more freedom we'll receive. Watch this amazing video. Have you seen that video Elizabeth Gilbert made recently? And she's telling a story about a friend. Watch it if you can. Search for it. But yeah, I saw that this morning, and she's explaining about this story about a friend. I won't go into it all. I'll let her tell that story because I won't do it justice. But a friend, at the end of this long story that she tells about a friend, the important point was that you live, that you are your heart, and that you live in your mind. And so, I've talked about freedom before, and you've got to find freedom in your consciousness first before you can have it in the external world. She was talking about the same thing too. You're not your mind, you are your heart, but you live in here. And so we've got complete freedom in our consciousness. Got to accept where we are on this journey that we're all on, especially now. We're about to go through, and we are going through a major shift, evolutionary shift. Humankind. It's very exciting times. So gotta be open to receiving, because community is going to be a huge part in it. We've also got, is this thought useful, in jealousy? Oh yeah, pitting ourselves against each other, wanting to be top. Our egos are crazy right now, of course. We're in fear. Our egos are trying to protect us, but they're coming up with all kinds of shit. People have spreading fake news, like everybody. Everybody wants to say, everyone wants to come up with something new. Everyone's mistrusting everybody. So much so that people are coming up with so much fake news. Everyone's got a voice online, and it's not a good thing. We're seeing how it's not a good thing at the moment. There's so much misinformation out there. And it's all of this one-upmanship. Everyone wants to be important. Everyone wants to come up with something new. That's the society that we've been in, right? It's not been about sharing the collective, allowing people to be there, shine their own individual light. It's like you can only get by if you take the power and shine a light. It doesn't matter what you say. It can be complete bullshit. But as you've got to get that center stage, and you've got to look really good and put yourself out there in a certain way. It's really competitive, and it's not original. It's not authentic. It's not our authentic selves. And so we've got to stop that. Is this thought useful? It's about our ego. And the whole jealousy thing, it's about people pitting themselves against each other. It's the only way we've been able to thrive, and it's freaky. So we're breaking free of all of that. I want to know more about this receiving thing, though. Yeah. And our egos, as I said, we're breaking free of our egos at the moment, or our egos are being blown up out of all proportion for us to see what it's actually doing. Because it is our egos that's pitting us against each other, causing us to judge each other. And so everything that we need to release is being blown huge right now. It's like this spot I've got on the side of my head. When you are detoxing, or when you start a new skincare regime, or you start exercising or something like that, you're going through a detox process, and then you break out in spots like that one there. It's like that. It's like the toxic gets exposed and it gets blown up so that you can see it. so that you can release it. Judgment, ego's judgment is coming out in people at the moment. So much so that people aren't believing anyone and thinking that everyone's got an agenda that's against them. And so if they just come up with like some clever reason why they're right and everyone else is wrong, then they'll win. It's just ego stuff. But when we've got to release it one step at a time, it's been revealed in all of us. And of course, we've got to let it go when we see it in other people and not get involved. Yeah, and we've got to involve ourselves in our own lives, empower ourselves, and refocus ourselves. So how does this, that's minding our own business. It's staying in our own lane. It's focusing on ourselves. There's no point in focusing on what everyone else is doing wrong, how everyone else's ego is playing up and all of that. Very easy to get sucked into that, pointing the finger at everyone else. You know that thing when you point the finger, there's 3 fingers pointing right back at you. Have you heard that one? And it's true. When you point the finger at someone, it's that you're ignoring yourself. There's like 3 times as much coming that's about you, rather than it being about them. And so we try and ignore ourselves and our own guidance by pointing the finger at the other people. So just be careful of the ego doing that too. It's very empowering to get yourself focused on yourself. So what has that got to do with receiving? Let's see. Yeah, we probably can't receive while our ego's out there. Which is bizarre, isn't it? Because ego has been the only way people can thrive in our old society. It's been so messed up, hey? But it's all been blown up now for us to see it. For us to see it for what it is. Even parts that we wouldn't have noticed before, Now we're getting this chance to take a step back. We're getting to see our own truth of what's right for us and what's not right for us. So I think we're going through a pretty cool time right now. What do you think? What does everyone think? And my readings are getting really interesting now. I like it. It's interesting me. So, pick my cards out for the day. Patience. I used to hate that card, but now I kind of like it. I used to hate it when I was trying to push forward all the time and trying to do too much. But now it's like the card of receiving for me now. Patience means that it's all coming and I get that now. So who wants a reading? Pop up a message and I'll do one for you. The card of the day is True Offering. May I release the fears, illusions and addictions that keep me from true offering. Oh, of course, addictions has been coming up a lot as well. The way that we ignore ourselves, the way that we dumb ourselves down, numb ourselves with addictions. May I relax into your plan, trusting that the next steps will always be shown. Use me, love, use me for the highest. I am yours alone. Yeah, it's been so needed for so long. But yeah, we needed to get to a point. We needed to get to a point where enough of us had enough reason to break up with the old society. It's good time. It's exciting times, isn't it? Being around for a huge transition like this. It's like stuff that we've heard about in history when there's big changes. It's like, whoa, it would have been interesting to live at that point. Well, we're doing it now. And there's a reason we're here. And that'll be why there's so much death happening at the moment as well. They're the people that are checking out. The people that never wanted to be here for that next stage. And so that whole death thing that's going on now, it's not as bad from a spiritual perspective as we think either. Or that our egos think, Our human perspective, I should say. Aphrodite. Ooh, yeah, you're getting it, Aphrodite. Your personal awakening, the collective awakening, it's all got to happen at a personal level, right? Which is why we're all like, go to your room, do this by yourself. It's got to happen. We've got to take our place in it. We've got to do it for ourselves. It's the only way change happens, because we've only got the power over our own lives. Everybody has only got the power over their own lives. Universal principles. So it has to happen. Change only ever happens at grassroots level in our own lives. And you're switched on to that now, Aphrodite. You're listening. And you know it's a mystery path. Yours is a mystery path. You don't need to be in control of it. So you're in a good place right now, Aphrodite. You're going to be bringing people in. You're not going to have to do this alone either. You're going to attract the people that are on that same wavelength as you. And it's going well. This path to it is going well, bringing in the right people. Bringing in the right people. Yeah, and sometimes we've got to have quarantine, don't we, Greg? Sometimes we've got to have a lockdown. Sometimes it's self-imposed, like I did a self-imposed one when I quit drinking. Because I realised that too. I needed to back off. I needed space. It's like having space in a relationship, isn't it? To figure out whether you actually want to be with them or whether you want to break up. It's like taking a break to get clarity. We need a break from people to get clarity. We need a break from patterns to get clarity. We need a break from work to get clarity of whether we want to do that too. Yeah. So you're doing good, Aphrodite. You know that. I'm sure you're feeling that anyway. Rose is up next. Welcome, Rose. Thanks for coming along. Ooh, Rose, you've got heart opening right now. Your heart's opening to new connections. This is the receiving energy of today. You're open to new people now. Dropping the fight. The ego wants to fight, right? When the ego wants to fight, it closes us down to the right people. We end up just like bringing in the wrong people to fight with them. It's law of attraction, right? We can't even see the right people for us. We're just like trying to convince all the wrong people to be the right people. But you're stopping that now, Rose. You're warming up. You're warming up to the true connections to you. So this is about not going to the wrong people anymore. I always give that example of the butcher. The butcher trying to sell his meat to vegans. It's like, you don't need to do that. You don't need to go the hard way about it. It's like you don't need to go to people that have completely the opposite point of view to you, or people that can't give to try and receive, or, that's the fight. And it's when we're fighting like that, it's because we've got an internal fight. Well, you've dropped the internal fight now, Rose. And now you're opening your heart to the right connections for you, the right people for you, the right community for you, and all of that. Often we can get into fucked up communities because of our dysfunction. So when people are in the fight, they're like, oh yeah, another fighter. They're my community, they're my tribe, they're my soul tribe. Let's all fight together. And it's like, that's not a soul tribe. That's a fucked up tribe. You're all fighting in the same way. So you're breaking free of that at the moment. Look at this, soften and open as well. Same, opening your heart. Stepping away from the judgment. You're breaking free of your ego, Rose. I said in one of the... in the full moon reads, I can't remember which sign it was for, but it was all about breaking free of the ego. The trickiest ego of all is a spiritual ego. When you think you're awake, but you just end up either going in the opposite direction. Your ego goes in the opposite direction, from trusting everything that you're told to trusting nothing that you're told. You see so many people in that at the moment. So you're breaking free of that. You're breaking free of the judgment, the next level of ego. Freedom awaits, Rose. Good job for doing that work as well. We need more people like you. Taking it to the next level. So many people get stuck at that fight level. They think they're awake. And that's why it's so tricky, that level of ego. It's like the spiritual ego, because they think they're awake and they're not. But it's a step forward, Greg, what does your higher self have to say to you today? Now we've stopped going on about twin flames. Rest. Take it easy, Greg. Rest up. Love yourself. Take a break. These changes that we're going through are changes within, the changes of our mind, the changes of our heart. It's big. It takes a lot of energy. You'd be surprised. It takes a lot of energy. It takes more energy than exercise. Our brains, our brains use most of the calories we take in. Did you know that? Like significantly most of the calories, like 70%. I can't remember the amount, but it's a high amount of the calories are used by our brain. So when we're going through these internal shifts, wears us out. It's using a lot of energy. So rest up. And Greg, there's things to face, decisions to make, changes to make in your life. You get to decide that Of course, that's what everyone's going through now. You get to decide what you keep in your life, what you let go of in your life. This is about being more empowered to making your own decisions. It's interesting, you know, I chose freedom for myself a long time ago. To just do my own thing, to follow to follow all of my guidance, no matter what, even if it doesn't go along with the rules of whatever country I've been living in. And because of that, because I've consistently chosen freedom, now I'm in this amazing position where I'm kind of out of the systems of countries, if you know what I mean. And so, you know, a lot of people will be complaining about their freedom being taken away or seemingly being taken away, like things are being imposed on them. But then how come they're not being imposed on me? And I know it's a reflection of that freedom that I chose and that I've chosen many years ago. So there's always an option. It's like if you're vibrating a certain way, then even seemingly imposed restrictions don't get imposed on you. Like I haven't been to a doctor for many, many, many years, and I don't need to because I'm healthy. And yeah, I just don't need to do that stuff. It doesn't involve me, and it doesn't need to involve me. You're welcome, Rose. So there you go, Greg. Decisions to make, but rest up and love yourself. Eva. Ooh, Eva. What have you got going on? You've got romance flowing. Flowing romance. That romantic part of ourselves. Back to the teenage self, you know. Remember how we were when we were teenagers and we first started having relationships? We were so much more romantic within ourselves, in our heads, you know. Because that's where we live our life, right? In our heads. It's the way that we're feeling about it, the way that we think about it. We're way more romantic when we're teenagers. You didn't know that you were worn out. You're not feeling it, Greg. And also rest. Sometimes it's not because we're worn out. Sometimes it's because we need to give things a break to allow that space, you know. Space in for guidance. But anyway, back to Eva. Romance is flowing. Get back into that innocent, that sweet, innocent, open-hearted thing. That's one of the things that I love about Thais. The way that they love. They're like kids still. They romance each other so slow. They take it so slowly, like old school courtship kind of thing. And they're just like kids. It's so sweet. So sweet. They fall in love so hard. It's refreshing. Eva. So you've got the romance flowing. Get back into that romantic innocence. Especially if things are overwhelming. This is like figuring things out, you know. We're kind of taught, when you're an adult, you know, you're not all fanciful and imagination and romance and all of that. You've got to be like sensible and serious and sort things out and figure things out and be in control. And it's overwhelming, that. But you can simply get back to what you knew as a kid. What you knew as a kid. Of course, we know when we're kids. We know how the world works. We come here. We know it's all about playing. We know it's all about your imagination. Yeah. We know how to manifest things when we're a kid. We know it already. We're born like that. Born knowing it. And then we get adultified. We've got to get out of that. So simplify your life and get back to that romantic innocence. And this isn't just about relationships, you know, the romance of life. The things you used to imagine when you were a kid, how life would be. AP. I'm doing great, thanks, AP. How are you? You're welcome, Greg. AP's up next. Eva goes crazy 99% of the time. Single mum of 3. Oh, that's a lot of work. I got 3 kids too. I was a single mum for a while of that too. But they were pretty good. Like they were like the first 4 years apart, and the second 2-3 years apart, and so they used to kind of care for each other. keep each other occupied. And I used to work from home, so they had to. And they had to be quiet when I was working too. That's when I had people coming in. And it's like, okay, I've got a customer coming in, you've got to be quiet now, stay in the lounge and I'll watch TV. And then if they were noisy, I'd be like, oh, they'd be in for it. When I came out of my client session. To yell at them. They were pretty good though. My kids were great, really. Easy. AP. But yeah, and they're tiring, Eva. They're tiring. They're so tiring. Leading you forward. Leading you forward in joy, AP. Do you know who this is talking about? Friend. Listen to your friend. Because you've got a resistance to joy and they're showing you the way forward. But AP, open up to joy the way that your friend is too. Listen to them, especially if you're resisting it. Resisting what they're saying, resisting following them or something, or resisting doing the same thing as them. Maybe your ego's kicking in saying, no, that can't be right. No. Does that make sense, AP? Do you know who I'm talking about? See her. I want to ask a bit of guidance. Oh, having nightmares. Oh, how to deal with it. How to deal with it. Yeah, it's about vulnerability. So when we have bad dreams, I've noticed this in myself too, because I've got a touch of, if it's even possible to have a touch of it, but what's it called? What people get when they come back from war. That's what my childhood was like. What's it called? You know what I mean anyway. And it's when I'm feeling, what I've noticed is when I get nightmares, I wake up screaming with it. And what I've noticed in myself is it's when I feel vulnerable. So say if I'm starting a new relationship, the nightmares start again because I'm feeling vulnerable. If certain things are happening, I'm feeling vulnerable, that's when the nightmares start again. It's like it tweaks that wounded part in me, that really fearful part in me that had good reason to be fearful because it was traumatized from an early age, from a very early age. And so it's locked into me. And it's like not something I don't seem to have been able to get over it, but it happens less and less now. And that's because healing myself so that I'm not so vulnerable anymore. And so that's the advice for you is the feeling of vulnerability. And the feeling of vulnerability goes away when you choose to be empowered. And so for me, getting empowered, like doing Muay Thai training is a big part of it too. So actually learning to fight, to actually physically defend myself, suddenly I feel way more secure in the world, and the nightmares stopped then. So it's the vulnerability, that's why it's coming up for you now, because you're feeling extra vulnerable. Of course people will be feeling vulnerable now. What's the thing that I'm talking about? That a lot of people get when they come back from war. My mind is totally blank to what it's called, but anyway, I've got that. Yeah, you can pray about it, but this is saying like it's up to you to empower yourself, to choose those changes, to move away from the way that you've been. It's like praying about it it's kind of like wishing, yeah? It's like, for example, it's like wishing for money, wishing to win the lotto instead of starting your own business so you can actually make that money. It's like it's good praying, but it's not everything. It's like you can't heal things like that, unfortunately. And so you've got to choose those changes yourself, and it's about empowerment. It is about empowerment. So anything that's going to make you feel less vulnerable is going to help you there. It's a subconscious mind, you know. And so, yeah, it doesn't surprise me, you know, everyone's going to be feeling more vulnerable than than normal at the moment. Just with what's happening in the world, you know. Hey Mimi, how are you? Oh, I got a message from you in the night. But I was not sleeping when I should have been sleeping, and I can't even remember what you said now. Sorry. How are you, Mimi? You good? Anyone else want a reading? I can't believe that I've completely forgotten that, and still you can't even remember it now. What is it? Maybe I don't need to know anymore. Maybe I'm over it. But yeah, I do get the night terrors sometimes. I wake up screaming. Freaks anyone out that's with me. But it's just when there's a new vulnerability that's come into my life. It's just my vulnerability is coming out. Painful love life. Who else wants a reading? Mimi, do you want one? Or was it about your reading, Mimi? I think it was. Oh no, I can't remember. I can't remember your reading. Okay, I think I'll stop there. Because I need some breakfast. I think maybe my brain hasn't got any fuel at the moment. I'm feeling a bit weird. Hey Saska. What you doing? What's you doing arriving late, Saska? Okay, I'm going to quit right there. Thank you everyone for coming along. I'm good, thanks Saska. I'm hungry. I'm going to go and make my brekkie now. I hope you all have a great day. Thank you for coming along. Thanks for your subscribes and all of that. I'll be doing this tomorrow, and it'll be for the full moon tomorrow. Tomorrow's will be the full moon special, so come along for that. That'll be fun. And don't forget, click like on this too. Thank you everybody. Bye.